everyone, Jackie here, back again for the Real Women of Philadelphia cooking competition. We're into week 5 already, and the theme once again is appetizers, which is great because I'm hungry. My husband Jim and I have been working outside all afternoon under a gorgeous sunny blue sky, and it's days like this that make us so glad we live in the country now. It's been over 6 years since we left the city behind, and we have never looked back. But having a good-sized property, and we're on 120 acres, even though most of it is forest, it still takes quite a bit of work to keep everything in shape. So I was painting part of our main deck today, Jim was tearing out and replacing some of the deck boards, and we've both worked up quite an appetite. And we are ready to call it quits for the day, but we are not ready to come inside. It is just too nice out. So I've popped inside to pull together a quick snack, an appetizer to tide us over until dinner. I want something that's not too heavy, and because we got pretty hot out there under the sun, I want something that tastes light and cool and fresh. And if it goes well with a glass of crisp white wine, well then that's all the better. So I moseyed over to the crisper drawer in my fridge to see what I would find, and I found apples, celery, and endive, and I thought, aha, Waldorf salad. Now I'm not making a traditional Waldorf salad today, but rather I'm feeling inspired by the tastes and components of the classic dish. This is more like a Waldorfy salad, a Philly Waldorf, a Phildorphia salad. Okay, I think I need to work on the name of this recipe a bit, but let's just move on. I also want something that is finger food for our appetizer. I don't want to have to worry about balancing plates and forks and wine glasses outside. And that's where our endive comes in. Now, if you're not familiar with Belgian endive, this is one here. It looks kind of like a torpedo-shaped little head of lettuce. And all we do with endive is just pull the leaves off. Now the outer leaves, if any of them are yucky, just discard them. But most of them are pretty good here. And you'll see each leaf is like its own perfect little vessel, a little cup, a little boat almost, that will perfectly hold about a tablespoon or so depending on the size of the leaf. Look, it's pretty sturdy too. And it'll hold a delicious Philly filling. So let me just tear some more leaves off of our endive, and then we'll get on with our salad. So for our salad, I have an apple here. I've washed it and cored it, but I'm not peeling it because there's a lot of nutrition just under the skin. I'm chopping it into quite small dice. If I was doing, like a plated composed salad that I'd be eating with a fork, I could do bigger bite-sized pieces. But I'm cutting this into small dice, not much bigger than a raisin. And I'm using a Gala apple because that's what I had in my fridge. But use whatever apple you have. Granny Smith would be really nice with this salad. It would be nice and tart. But use whatever kind of crisp, firm apple you enjoy eating, and you'll love the salad all the more. So that's our apple chopped into nice small dice. Just put that in a bowl. I'm going to do the same thing with a stalk of celery. Again, into small dice, not much bigger than a raisin. And the reason we are chopping it so small is so we have a nice uniform salad. Since it's an appetizer filling, it'll hold together so much better if it's uniform, if all the components are uniform in size. So why the size of a raisin? Well, perfect segue. I also have here a 1/4 cup of raisins and a 1/4 cup of roasted sunflower seeds. And in these go. Now my sunflower seeds are unsalted. If all you have is salted, go ahead and use them. But just omit the salt from your dressing. And then once you've mixed the salad up together, then taste and adjust seasoning and add salt if it needs it. So that's it for our salad part. And now for the dressing. The traditional Waldorf salad dressing is really basically just mayonnaise. And I'm not going to do that. I'm using mostly light Philadelphia cream cheese instead, and there are a couple of reasons for that. For one thing, light Philly has way less fat and calories than mayonnaise, but also it's the creamy consistency and the great body of the cream cheese that's going to work so well with that. It's going to help hold all our salad components together when we put it into our little cups. So for the dressing, I've got Philadelphia light cream cheese. I'm using 5 tablespoons, which is a 1/4 cup plus 1 tablespoon. I've also added a bit of light Miracle Whip, a bit of orange juice to thin it out, some Dijon mustard, a bit of honey for a hit of sweetness, and some apple cider vinegar in addition to a good pinch of salt. Now I'll put the amounts of the dressing ingredients into the written recipe, but this is one of those things where you can add a little more or less of this and that until it tastes just how you like it. So I've whisked that all up and it goes straight in to our salad. You can see it's quite a thick dressing. If you wanted to use this for a leafy green salad, the flavors would be great, but it's a little thick for that. So all you'd have to do is thin it out with a little more orange juice or maybe even some buttermilk, and that would be a really tasty leafy green salad. So all we do is mix this together, and that's it for our salad. That is it. Now I'm just spooning this into our Endive Boats, plating them up on a simple plate with the handle end facing outwards so they're easier to eat. Lastly, I'm just sprinkling some fresh snipped chives over our cups. These chives are from my garden. They're growing like crazy right now, which is a sure sign that spring is in full swing. I've also added a couple of grape tomatoes to the plate for a bit of color and extra nibbles. So there we have our Phildorph Salad Endive Boats. A quick, casual, easy, fresh, healthy appetizer, perfect for a hot, sunny afternoon. I wish I could stick around, but the upper deck is calling. Jim is already up there with our wine glasses, and he's probably just waiting to dive into these. So thank you for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you again. Bye for now.